What's up YouTube, my name's Captain Cricket, and today I'm finally going to talk about a mod that I actually started working on over a year ago, like back in May 26 basically, of 2020. And the originally when I started the mod, the way it started was I want to play. It first started. By the way, I just want to mention it first started on the GameCube version of the game. It didn't. The Wii U. I started pouring it the Wii U version of the game later on, like I think April or March of 2021. But it first started off in the GameCube version of the game, and so what happened was I was playing. I went to play the Wind Waker randomizer for the GameCube version of the game, and there's an option to change Link's color palettes or whatever. And so I was like, let me try to make him look like Link the Past Link in there. But when I tried to do that, he one thing I noticed was, if I recall correctly, the hat and the stomach both shared the same like color palette. Even if we changed it, they would both change at the same time. So and the sprite of Link and Link the Past, the hat color and the tunic color, they were both like different. Like I think they were both green, but like different like color palettes of green or whatever. So when I couldn't change it, like so when I couldn't have like the hat be a separate like type of green than the tunic, I was like, hey guys, like I think I'm not sure how it went exactly. I mean, there's probably screenshots here they put on here, but I was like, did someone attempt to? I think basically what I asked was like, can can you guys like make it so then we can change the hat colors to be different, to make it like different than the tunic color, but I think they said like you should like make your own mod, so then you can do that more easily. So I think that's basically, or like something like that. So that's basically like how I start off working on the mod. And so like originally it was basically just going to be like the tunic, I think. But then like I think at some point, like when I was getting prepared, like unpacking the model, like trying to learn how to, because this was like, by the way, this was before this. I wasn't even like I didn't use Blender before this, so like I started this project even before the Skyward Sword Link Twilight Princess project, and that project like pretty old. So I started like months before that one. So um, yeah. So basically, when I went to change the if when I first started off, I only want to change the tunic or like Link's model, basically like the textures probably, to make him look more similar to like the past Links, like the color palette. But then someone said that if I recall correctly, someone said that you shouldn't start off with Link because he's pretty complicated, like especially like the rigging and stuff like that. Even though I was only going to change the color palette, I didn't really understand like these things at the time because it was new to like 3D modeling at that time, like over a year ago. So they said, I think they said something like you should start off with like with the items first and then go to Link. So I decided to start off with the items, and the item that I decided to start off with was the bow. And the bow I actually I basically like, besides unpacking the bow model and modifying its texture, like my brother pretty much did like the entire work. Like he modified the model to make it look like how it looks like in the sprite and look the past. But yeah, like for me, what I did was because like my brother, he already had like knowledge of Blender even at that time. So, but for me, what I did was um, I just like I modified the texture, and I don't think we even did UV editing before. Like I think it was just the like modifying the texture and leaving the same with the same UV edits. But anyways, after I was done, after we were done, we got working in the game. We exported and it appeared correctly in the game, but it didn't completely appear correctly because when Link tries to like when Link tries to aim like to get ready to shoot the arrow from the bow, it and like it doesn't attach to the strings or whatever. They didn't attach to the bow itself. If that makes sense. Like there's probably screenshots here that you can see like on the screen right now. But yeah, so I asked like the people on the Discord server about this, and they could like understand what's going on. Because again, like at the time, this was like a rigging issue, but at the time I didn't really know anything about that. Basically, because it's still like getting used to 3D modeling, and I didn't even modify it pretty much in the 3D modeling. My brother did. They just did like textures, and they used them as paint. So yeah. Um, so yeah, so then like when I asked about it, someone told me, like I think someone actually told me about like rigging it, and I think when they told me about that, I think I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it, but then like I never actually end up going through it, at least at the time. Like I did eventually do it, but it was months later. So after they told me about that, like I guess I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. But I stopped doing it. I stopped working on the mod, and I guess just like stopped there. And I think I was gonna modify the arrow model actually, but then like I never actually ended up doing that. I still didn't modify the arrow model, in case you guys are wondering. 'Cause I don't think there's really that much. I don't even know if it's necessary to modify. Like if there's a difference between the like the past arrow model, like the look of it, and the look of the arrow model and the Wind Waker. So I just like that one never ended up getting really modified. Um, but yes, and at some point after I finished with the bow, like I end up finding out about Twilight Princess modding, and that's when I started to get Twilight Princess modding, and basically after that I started modding the Wind Waker until like probably like October or September or something. When I got back like adding Kirby into the game, which I showed on YouTube already. But yeah, like I'm not sure if I even got back to modifying the Wind Waker when I found out about Twilight Princess modding. So I think I probably got back to the project, the past project, probably like November or October. And when I did get back, um, I do remember doing like two things. I'm not sure which one I did before like the other, but one of the things I did was I modified the bow model to I modified the bow model and I actually made it so then it the strings like attached to the bow when Link like holds it to like preparing to shoot the arrow. And yeah, it was pretty satisfying like achievement when it actually worked in the game when I got to work. Um, and so that was one thing I did, and when I got back to it, and then the other thing that I did was I modified the Link's tune, like the Link's model, but it was mostly only like for cockroach. It was just like yeah, I mean it was basically just UV editing and texture like changes. There wasn't any changes with the model until like later when I got into the Wind Waker HD, but I'll talk about that later. But at the beginning, like I'm still at this point, like I'm still modifying the GameCube version of the game, and I only for Link I modified his tunic as well, um, but it was pretty much like for Coco, all just UV editing and texture changes. And after I finished with that, I think I basically stopped there again. Like I might have prepared the boomerang by model, but I don't think I ended up changing it at that time. So then like jumped to. So I think after this was probably like the last time I modified the. Like I worked on this project on the GameCube version of the game. I think now after this, like it was like well, I think one day, like in maybe like April or March of this year, 2021, like I found like a post somewhere in Discord where someone like into a Game Banana page to for the Wind Waker HD, like modding the Wind Waker HD, and when I was browsing through the Game Banana page, I found there was a tutorial for custom models. I'm asking. I sometimes wonder like now how many people know about that tutorial, but yeah, like I found I saw the tutorial and um, once I saw the tutorial, it brought me like interest back, and I linked the past project. So after like I checked out and I downloaded Switch Toolbox and I got back to the project as well. And for the I think one of the first things I did was get the bow model into the game, into the Wind Waker HD. And when I got into the game, I think it was like all I had to really do was renaming basically. Um, and I guess like I took it out of the skeleton, like clear and keep transformation, and put in the other skeleton for the Wind Waker HD if I recall correctly. But otherwise, it was just like renaming it. I don't think I even had to like re-rig or anything the bow model. So yeah, it was basically just like that, and I was able to get into the Wind Waker HD. I mean, I also modified the texture for the bow because I think if I recall correctly, I heard in that tutorial that it needs to be the same like width and height as the origin. The texture needs to be the same width and height as the original texture for like each model, like so Link Text SRT or whatever it's called, the texture for Link's like model, like the majority of Link's model, that texture, it needs to be like the same width and height apparently according to the tutorial, if I recall correctly. And so yeah, I ended up making it like same width and height, and yeah, it ended up working in the game, and the rigging was great. It worked also. So then after that, I think he also brought in like link Link's textures and stuff that I did in the GameCube version of the game, and it also worked. Although there was an issue where if I replaced the original unmodified texture with a modified texture, and then it would look normal in game usually. Like depends, but then like if I replaced again second time, it would look messed up, and at the time like they didn't really know what the reason for that. But now like eventually because I was in the Switch Toolbox Discord server, I found out that it's because you as sRGB have to like make it true, and if it's false then it's going to look like desaturate or saturate like looking. So yeah, anyways, but so another like the when I was working on the hammer model, I mean I'm not sure, like I think the next model I did was probably like the boomerang model afterwards. And the boomerang model, I think it was all what I really did was UV editing and texture editing as well. um, I don't think I don't think the boomerang model had any like com- complex like actual stuff at the side. So like for correctly, I just like modified the texture and UV editing, and it wasn't too hard to make it look similar to the Link to the Past boomerang model. I mean boomerang sprite, not model. And but one thing I didn't change was trail. Like when you throw the boomerang, there's this yellow trail that follows behind it or whatever. And I didn't change that. I asked in the Wind Waker randomizer Discord server like about like what could be the like where could that be located. I know it's for the GameCube version of the game, like the Wind Waker randomizer, but um, I still want to ask because usually like they still it can give me like an idea of where the yellow trail like or whatever would be located in the Wind Waker HD. So I asked, and I think one of them told me that it's located in the boot.del or like main.del, whatever you want to call it, .del whatever. So yeah, and so that's like the main like code of the game, I think. So I assumed it was going to be located in a similar like complex area in the Wind Waker HD as well, so if that's where it's located in the GameCube version of the game. So I just ended up like leaving the yellow trail or whatever that appears when you throw the boomerang. So yeah, if anyone knows like where that's located in the files of the game, like please tell me so I can actually change it, and it could look a lot better when you throw the boomerang. So it doesn't feel like you're throwing like yellow boomerang or like whatever. So another model that I changed was wait, what was it? The hookshot model. The hookshot model was probably honestly was one of my least favorite models I modified. Um, Probably because like the amount of stuff I had to go through. Like okay, first of all, the sprite of the hookshot and Link to the Past, it's kind of like hard in my opinion to tell what it's supposed to look like. So I just tried to make it look as similar as possible to the sprite um, of the hookshot, while at the same time still like making it like make sense in a way. And the Wind Waker HD, so like I gave it like a handle, which in a Link to the Past I don't think there's visibly any like handle that Link holds. So I just like kind of like did these things, and I actually wanted the red part of it to be like longer also, but I can't really do that without making it look like really glitchy in the game, because um, well, one of the things in the so like the hookshot model, at least in the GameCube version of the game, when I asked about this, there's this thing like the chains or whatever, when you shoot like the hookshot, so then it goes and you can like attach stuff. The chains that come out, they're apparently, if at least in the GameCube version of the game, they're located in the main.dol or boot.dol for correctly from what I heard. So I kind of assumed it was also going to be like a similar like complex area, complex file or whatever, and the Wind Waker HD. So instead of like trying to modify like where the chains are located, or like moving them behind or forward, I instead like tried to modify the model itself, so then it makes sense with the chains or whatever. It wasn't really like, it was one of my like worst experiences probably while modding the game, one or at least one of my least favorite experiences probably. But yeah, I mean, at the end, I don't think it looks that bad, the model, but yeah. Um, so another like model that I modified, and the next one, or like another one, was the hammer. And the hammer model, it's actually there's pretty like interesting thing that happened while I was modifying modifying the hammer model. The hammer model, it didn't really take me like all that long at all to like set up for the game and create, because it's like the hammer and like the pass, it's very like the hammer sprite is a very like simple looking sprite. So I just tried to like make like a circle, and then like add like um I I tried to like fill it, so then I could extrude it and stuff, and then like um I just kind of like add like a pole in it, and yeah, that was like pretty much like it for the most part. I mean, it took me like about an hour uh, to like finish from start to finish, if I recall correctly. And but by the time I was done, I mean, I was still technically not done, because there are like some other issues, like the normals, like it not being like correct, but that's like later. But like when I was almost done with like the beginning, of like finishing the model, um, something happened in Blender, and the entire like Blender just crashed, and I didn't save the model like throughout that hour, or like around an hour or whatever that I spent working on it. I didn't end up saving it, so my entire like progress with the hammer, I thought was like basically lost, and I would have to repeat it. So I went to like a Discord server, I think, and I'm not sure like what I was saying, but I think I talked about there, and someone told me, did you try to like recover from save, or like wait, let me check what's that called. Um, yeah, recover, like did you try to like recover autosave or last save, whatever, one of them I think, and then um, like I think he said like no, like what was that word state, and then or something like that. Then they told me, and they checked, for a couple of things, and they like I checked out, and yeah, I was able to. I mean, I couldn't recover like it exactly, but I recovered it to like a point. It like auto saved, and so Blender apparently. I think you might be able to turn this off, but if you didn't turn this off, then I think like might automatically have this option where have this setting where like it auto saves every like on a few minutes or hours. Um, and so for me it auto saved like really close to where I got to, so I was like lucky with that. So I went to that autosave, and I basically got back on track, and yeah, like so I mean that's what like that's basically happened. It was like a weird experience, but um, it was, but I got back and yeah, I mean I'm pretty happy. Like that's also a really useful tip. Like if you guys like ever like suddenly something happens to Blender or like it crashes, then try to go to file, recover, and see like autosave or last session, probably autosave though if I recall correctly, and then like see if you can find your what you're working on there. Anyways, so yeah, I got the hammer in the game, and when I got in the game, it had like some normals issue, so I flipped the normals for like the for some of the objects for yeah like some of the choice whatever, and yeah, it looks normal in the game now. I kind of like sometimes like I wonder like if I should have made it more rounder, the main like hammer where like you hit from, but I mean I still think it looks pretty good overall. I mean I could do that right now, but I don't really feel like doing that, especially when I already like went through all this, because it's been like over a year since I started the project. I don't really feel like going through it again. Um, but yeah, so and then like so the other models I modified were the shield and the mirror shield. The shield model, it was the model itself, all it really modified for like the model itself, if I recall correctly, was just the added like I extruded like if I recall correctly, I just extruded like some of the tries to make it look more similar to the sprite of the, I think it's called fighter shield in like the past, like the first shield you're supposed to get in the game. And yeah, and then after that, and like other than that, I did it was basically UV editing and texture changes for the shield. And yeah, like I end up getting it to look very similar to how the fighter shield, I think it's the fighter shield, the shield they get, the first shield you're supposed to get in I think the past, looks like the sprite of it. Um, and also I wanna thank GSD 1982. GSD actually he sent me like the sprites, um, like he showed me the sprites of both the shield, the normal shield they're supposed to get in the beginning of the game, and the mirror shield, from the angle from the back and from the front, and even I think sideways also. So like here, shout out to them. GSD is actually the main developer of Link to Past Online. So if you guys are interested in playing in checking out Link to Past Online, I'll have a link in the description below. But yeah, like here, shout out to them for contributing also to the project. So yeah, like after the like one of the other stuff I did after I did finish the original shield, I did the mirror shield, and again like I mentioned before, like JSC helped me out by showing me the textures. And what I did, like for the mirror shield, I had to have the back of the shield, the texture at the back of the shield, and the texture at the front of the shield had to be like for the most part the same like texture, unlike the fighter shield or the hero shield, whatever. And so I had to put the texture, the back texture inside of the like inside of the normal texture of the front of the shield. So it kind of looks weird a bit, but I guess not that weird. Um, and also for the mirror shield, I didn't really get the. I don't think I got I didn't really get the shining effect to work in the game all the way until like a few hours ago, and It's mostly because like I didn't really understand like how the shining mechanic worked in the game, like how you could make it work visually. I mean, obviously, like the stuff that the merge shield could do, could still do to that because they replaced the merge shield. But like visually, when like a light hits it to reflect, it didn't really look like it was shining. Um, like I think so. So what I did was I made the texture for the mesh of the shield where it's supposed to be like yellow because that texture I made it like a bit transparent in GIMP, which GIMP's by the way the like tool I used to modify the textures. I mean, I guess besides maybe like the bow texture because that one I first did it in MS Paint, but I did do it modify it more in GIMP later on, or like continue modifying it in GIMP. But yeah, so um, for the mirror shield, so what I did to get the reflection effect to work in the mirror shield, which by the way, the gameplay footage which you're seeing right now. I mean, I have like multiple gameplay footages. One of them doesn't have the mirror shield, but like I think like one or two others have it, and you can't see the reflection effect or like the shining effect or whatever in the mirror shield. If I recall correctly, and the reason for that is because I record those gameplay footages before I like added the effect to it, or before I did that like modification of the transparency effect. So yeah, but, like what you saw in the opening of the video, like with the mirror shield, that's how it looks like now, like after I did the changes. But the gameplay footage that you're seeing right now, which is they don't have that change, and also the hat and the gameplay footage for some reason, like I had like a weird issue like with the hat, and I think it has something to do with me trying to add outlines to Link. Uh, I was trying to do like an outline thing because someone modding the GameCube version of the game got to work, so got outlines to work. So I was thinking of trying to do the same thing but in the Wind Waker HD, but like I eventually gave up, and when I changed it back, the hat model still I feel like still had like the weird glitching like outline effect. So that's why in the gameplay, that's probably why in the gameplay footage looks like that. But I end up fixing that also. If you guys like look back at the opening of this video, that's how it's supposed to. That's how it's going to look like when you guys are playing it. Or at least that's how it should look like. I don't know like why it's that weird, but yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about how the commercial turned out. It's probably like one of my like most like proud accomplishment of this project and the past project. Um, like if I had to like a sort of like tier list of like which modifications were my favorite, they like I did. I think it'd probably be the mirror shield, and I mean I didn't really like the. My brother was the one that worked on like changing how the bow looked. So like I guess I can't really say that like I did the bow for the most part. I mean I did change like the rigging and the texture, but he kind of like he changed like the look of it. So but like yeah, like the bow would probably be like after the mirror shield. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of like all what I really want to say. If you guys want to check out the mod, I released it in the description. Just check out the description, and I have like a readme in there where you can see how to replace the files in the game with modified files. One thing I want to point out is that um, there's these files called permanent 2D, and then like something else like it depends on like which region of the game you have. If you have the European version of the game, you would have like the files, or you should have like the files permanent 2D, EU English, permanent 2D, EU French, permanent 2D, EU German, EU, Spanish, EU, Italian. I think that's it for the EU. And then like in US, it would probably be like I think it's like US English, US French, and maybe like Spanish. But I don't think it's as much as EU one probably. And I'm not sure what is for Japan, but it's probably something like JP, Japanese or something. But I'm not sure because I don't have the Japanese version of the game, so I'm not like 100% sure. But the reason why I brought up those files, I mean, first of all, those files they contain like the perm2d is where the files for the icons of the models are contained. And they also replace the icons. Like I rendered the models to place the icons. They also replace the item models, by the way, which are in the object folder, which are also included in the mod. But the reason why I want to point out the permanent 2D files, like the files that start permanent 2D specifically, is because those files, depending on what region of the game you have, and like it could end up making the mod crash, like can end up making the game crash if you replace the wrong permanent 2D file. um, if you have like a US version of the game, then you should like one thing, you should replace with like permanent 2D US English, and like these ones, like don't replace with permanent 2D EU English, because then the game will probably crash. So yeah, just like keep that in mind when you're replacing the file. I mean, what I would suggest, I think, would be first like replace all the files except for the files that start with permanent 2D. Like don't modify, don't change anything about those in the original game files. And also obviously like back up your original. Um, I mean, some people might not find this obvious, but like what you should do before you even modify any files is first like back up your original game files. So then if you want to, then let's say like something happened, like the game crashed, you can still go back to the original unmodified files. Or you could like, or let's say nothing, or let's say it works, but then like one day you want to go back to playing the game with the original like models and stuff, then you should back up, like I would suggest like to back up the original files of the game before you replace anything. So like maybe create a backup in the desktop folder or something, and then afterwards start replacing. But yeah, so after you create a backup and stuff, then when you replace, I would suggest like to replace all files except for the permanent any file that starts like permanent 2D. And if the game ends up working, then try to replace with permanent 2D for the region that works for you. Now obviously I don't have the Japanese one because I don't own the Japanese version of the game. So yeah, but if you have like the US or EU version of the game, then just like first of all read the file name and make sure like it says like EU if you're using the European version of the game, or US if you're using the the one from the US. And then yeah, just like try it out, and if it crashes, then maybe you chose the wrong file, like wrong permanent 2D file. If it doesn't crash and works, then that's good.